All right, everybody, welcome. Welcome to the Town Hall webinar. There are still lots of people joining, but I'm going to do a quick introduction while we're waiting for everyone to get comfortable. The topic today is ethical product marketing in the coronavirus era. What does that mean? Well, we all have companies to run. We have to keep our doors open, but how can we do this? How can we message our product in a way that is ethical, sensitive to this horrible pandemic going on right now, and also will keep us out of trouble with the FDA, FTC, and class action attorneys? Please do submit your questions through the Q&A tab on your screen. I'm Waldstein, and I'll be your host and moderator today. So today is designed not only for the hemp CBD world, but also for the dietary supplement industry as well. In a moment, I'll introduce our panelists, but first, a little bit of housekeeping. This event is being recorded, and a downloadable link with detailed contact information and bios will be sent shortly after the Town Hall webinar. Perfect. So really quickly about me and this education series. I'm a dietary supplement manufacturer, now predominantly focused on hemp products. I started making dietary supplements in 2001. That was the Wild West days of dietary supplements, and there's a lot of similarities between what's happening now in the hemp world and what was going on back then. Now, let me see what the numbers are. We got a lot of people joining us today. Welcome, everyone. I also see a lot of members of AHPA, the American Herbal Products Association, joining us. So welcome all AHPA members. For those of you who may not know, AHPA is the American Herbal Products Association, one of the top trade industry groups for the dietary supplement, hemp, and cannabis industries. I want to just welcome everyone and thank everyone who's an AHPA member. I'm an elected board of trustee at AHPA, and I do chair their very fun and dynamic cannabis committee. If anybody would like to find out more information about AHPA, please do send me a message and I'll put you in contact with the right people. So this event today grew out of an ongoing educational event series that I host called the Boulder Hemp CBD Group. It's an in-person networking group designed to bring together community and best practice development and compliance support. So one of the good things about going virtual is we get to expand our audience. So we have people joining us not just from Colorado, but all over the country. And I think a couple people from New Zealand as well. So really happy everyone's here today. A little bit about today's agenda. We'll be reviewing ethical product messaging from a regulatory, legal, and marketing point of view. And I like to have fun in my talk. So as a fun analogy to talk about the content of today's talk, I'm going to use wildcrafting herbs as an example. I have a clinical herbalism background. I live here in Colorado. It's beautiful springtime here. And I love picking wild herbs. Well, rule number one with wildcrafting is before picking, know what can make you sick and what to avoid. Well, it's really the same with product marketing. In order to know what to do, first we want to know what to avoid. So today we'll be reviewing warning letters, reviewing prior mistakes that were made, and also coming up with helpful examples of how to message your product correctly. And with that, I'd like to invite my fellow panelist, Linda Nielander, VP of Sales and Marketing for Quicksilver Scientific, and Erica W. Stump, owner and president of her law firm. Welcome, everyone.
Hello, Asa.
Hello. I know we got Erica jumping in here. Hey, Erica, welcome. Thank you for coming today. I know we're all busy, so I'm really excited to jump in and talk about this really important topic. I just wanted to quickly remind everyone, detailed bios and contact information will be sent to everybody, but perhaps each of you can start off by a quick self-introduction. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and your company. We'll start off with you, please, Erica.
My name's Erica Stump, and I'm an attorney. I've been practicing for 20 years. I started my career in Miami, working at Broad & Cassell in the intellectual property department. And from there, I went on to an IP boutique firm where I was introduced to the firm's largest client, which was VPX, which is Vital Pharmaceuticals' Red Line Bang Energy Drink, and transitioned and went in-house and started the legal department there, which now has, I believe, 10 attorneys and 2 paralegals. And I still work for that company today. It's exciting to have been a part of that industry for the last 17 years. And then after VPX, I went to bodybuilding.com, where I was general counsel and founded that legal department. It was a little too chilly for me in Boise. So I returned back to Florida where I started my own firm, and I've been doing that for 9 years. Actually, my firm is 9 years old today.
Congratulations.
So it's a big journey of mine. And I have an intellectual property paralegal and a registered patent attorney at my firm. So I handle all sorts of projects, but mostly for dietary supplement and food companies, primarily intellectual property, trademark prosecution and litigation, FDA and FTC compliance. I do a lot of label review, marketing and advertising review, website review, things like that. I work on, CBD products, obviously, as a part of that. I work with a number of different brands and scientists, contract manufacturers, doctors and scientists. I work on clinical trials with some of these folks. And I am a member of the American Herbal Products Association. And I'm also on the advisory board of the International Society of Sports Nutrition, which is a great organization.
Great.
So that's about it for me.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm Linda Nielander. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Quicksilver Scientific. We are a dietary supplement company focused on liposomal delivery, so fast acting, highly absorbable supplements. We also started our base in detoxification. I've been in sales and marketing for more than 20 years. The majority of my early career was in the sports athletic industry, so working for large companies in the athletic world, ASICS, VP of marketing at a young age, and moved through that. Came to Colorado. I'm based in Colorado, as is Asa. We actually have worked together in the past for another sports brand called Airwalk, and then moved into the telecommunications field. So talk about a field with oversight of FTC. So really understand that end of the business, as well as in the athletic world, have been through an FTC audit. So am very conscious of the things that we have to do to follow both FTC and FDA. I've been with Quicksilver Scientific for about 3 years now, and am really excited to be part of this panel and share the information that we follow and practice every day.
Great. Thank you very much, Erica and Linda. So I've had companies ask me, what's really the big deal with getting a warning letter? Erica, what are some reasons why companies want to avoid getting warning letters?
Well, the most obvious is because that means you're, in theory, committing some sort of a crime or violating one of the FDA's rules that you need to attend to. But it's really much broader than that, right? It's public record. There's no way to get that out of the public record. The next, if you don't follow the guidelines and fix what they've asked you to fix, they can bring an enforcement action against you. They can seize your products. They can move for an injunction. They can shut your company down. And they've done all of those things before, especially for repeat offenders. The thing that I see, though, that becomes most problematic, because this is when my clients come to me, is when the plaintiff's class action lawyers get a hold of that, and they use that to base it as a class action lawsuit. And you'll see those filed mostly in the state of California under the CLRA, which has a legal fee provision. So, these lawyers are kind of double dipping in that sense, but it's very difficult to defend that if the FDA has come out and said that you did something wrong. And there were a wave of FDA, after the CBD warning letters, there were a wave of class action lawsuits to follow. And it's just the way of it. And I imagine we'll see that with all of these COVID-19 warning letters as well.
Thank you. Yeah, those are some great points. I do know that it also, in this day and age, there's a lot of M&A happening, in particular in the hemp industry, and getting a warning letter will scare your investors away. So that's another reason why we like to avoid them. I would also like to congratulate Quicksilver, as they have never received a warning letter. Speaks volumes to their aptitude with their quality and regulatory department.
Thank you, Asa. I think the other thing too is to really again note that it's not just FDA right now. We all have been very conscious of DSHEA and FDA, but it's also FTC. Most of the warning letters that are coming out right now are together, FTC and FDA.
Good point. Thanks so much. And yeah, great segue. We've all seen a lot of these COVID warning letters from the FDA and the FTC. And I used to say I read every FDA warning letter that comes out, but I have not been able to read all of them because there's so many. I mean, there's life goes on. We have life to live. So usually I'm at the gym. It's Wednesday morning. I'm really excited when these warning letters come out. There's been so many coming out recently. It's crazy. And I'd like to congratulate the FDA and FTC for really taking this seriously. Now, Linda and Erica, let's explore some of the mistakes that companies have made marketing their products during the coronavirus era.
I think one of the biggest mistakes is that people have forgotten the rules regarding not messaging conditions and diseases. When you look at all the warning letters that I've read, every single letter, for the most part, right now ties to COVID. And you would never say your product cures the flu. You would never say your product cures the common cold, or even mitigates those situations. Yet for some reason in this crisis, the letters that are coming out for the most part are related to people actually making claims about their products doing something to prevent or to cure a disease. And so I really find that surprising that these companies aren't aware or have forgotten that that's just a rule.
Yeah, I agree with you, Linda. It's surprising that they've just suddenly forgotten what the rules are in terms of structure function claims, and they're just going straight into the disease claim. And, you know, I did see some of them, and I don't know if it's just lack of knowledge, where people are doing the hashtag COVID, you know, maybe they're on Instagram promoting their product or Facebook. And perhaps they didn't know that that was a problem. I mean, in this day and age, I would think they would know that the FDA is looking at social media. The FDA is looking at websites. The FDA is looking at Facebook, the Instagram. They're looking at booths. Not that there are any booths to look at right now, but I did read one of these warning letters, and I noted that they tied it together, right? Like the COVID hashtag was made, I think, on Twitter, and then there was a link to the website, and that's where the product was sold, right? So it wasn't exactly sitting in the same place, but the FDA put all the pieces of the puzzle together and said, you can't do this. So, you know, they're looking at all of the pieces of these puzzles and saying no.
That's great. Yeah, they really look at everything as an extension of a label. I've seen companies apply immune support, which is, there's a lot of herbs that support your immunity, but while they're using the buzzwords hashtag COVID, hashtag Wuhan, things like coronavirus, then they're taking an otherwise potentially compliant marketing campaign or strategy and making it uncompliant. And so I'm really glad you brought up hashtags, social media. Most of these warning letters have also come from blogs too. I've noticed that every company has had their own inner turmoil with how do we respond to this? And so what I'd recommend is having companies fight the urge to have to explain what the coronavirus is. As you're talking about what the coronavirus is, well, it's a pretty much gray line between talking about what the coronavirus is, and if you have a hyperlink to your product at the bottom of that, guess what? All of a sudden you're implying it. And these warning letters some of them have been very overt, some of them have been simple implication. So it's really interesting to watch this as well too.
Yeah, I think it's really comes down to language. As I said before, you wouldn't normally associate with disease or condition claims. And so all of a sudden, if you're talking about COVID, even in anything, we look at your shipping message. If your shipping message references COVID and you're selling supplements, we look at that, at least in our business, as a problem. We'll talk about during the current crisis or during the current situation, shipping may be delayed. But you know, if you put the word COVID right at the top of your website in your shipping message, it could be insinuated to be that you're selling products for that.
Yeah, and it's important those are great points. And it's important to be able to learn how to read these warning letters and kind of read the matrix, as I like to say. So the FDA is obviously focusing on blogs, socials, things like that, but even more recently focusing on videos and video captions as well too. I would like to say that declaratively, 100% of the coronavirus warning letters mention coronavirus or COVID or Wuhan. So step one, I think, is, you know, taking those buzzwords out of your website. And I think, Linda, when you're talking about messaging and shipping delays and that type of thing, that's a really great example. Thank you. So this one's for both of you, but we'll start with Linda, please. Big fan of Quicksilver. So one of the reasons I was really excited to have Quicksilver join today is they make some of my favorite immune and holistic detoxification products that are also marketed in a compliant manner, because we're here to talk about compliance. So what are some examples or helpful tips on how companies are marketing their immune and health products correctly and ethically during this pandemic?
Well, I think as we mentioned, it's really just following the rules. So I have a couple examples I can show that give an example of what we're doing and how we're able to communicate our message without violating any of the rules, so to speak. So this may take just a second. Okay, so the first two things I'm going to show are actually some 15-second videos that we're doing on Facebook and Instagram. So you'll see there's zero mention in that messaging of anything that would be deemed non-compliant. Here's another example. Sorry, let me go ahead. So in that situation, you did see that we talk about immunity, but we talk about immune support. We're not using terminology that says it's going to boost your immune system or it's going to improve your immune system. We basically talk about supporting your immune system. When we look at our website, the same situation, immune support bundle supports your immune defenses. When we look at blogs, as Asa was speaking about, we have to be very careful how to optimize your immune function when risk is high. We don't talk about COVID. In the first sentence, when seasonal immune threats are high. Again, talking about what's happening out in the world without actually calling attention to the crisis in a very specific way. And then this advertising ties back to immunity, but it really talks outside of the actual things that are happening in the world per se with the sicknesses. It's really talking about things you can do to support your own health. So relax, your immune system will thank you. Go to sleep, your immune system will thank you. Immune health starts with sleep. And there's no claims about the specific product. We're really just looking at the fact that you need these things to help support your immune system.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Great examples there. Getting the point across, we're not going to retreat into a hole and just hope for the best. You want to get the message out. The more you can get the message out, the more people can take health-giving products and get health benefits from that. So it's really interesting to see companies like yours, Gaia Herbs, Wish Garden Herbs, a couple other companies, Functional Remedies, another company I like, messaging their product in a way that is holistic, it's truthful, it's ethical, but it's also helping to get the message across. So thank you, Linda. Those are great examples.
Yeah, and I do want to make the comment too that in anything that we say, we do have to be able to back up our claims. So I think that even if we're, staying away from, as long as if we're focused on form and function, which is okay, you still have to be truthful. So, you can't say something absorbs faster or absorbs more if you don't then have the data to back it up. So there's two components to it.
Great.
Yeah, but I'd like to add to that point, Linda. That's another great point that Asa and I talked about earlier. You still have to be able to substantiate your claims, right? Just because you're allowed to make these claims about, supports immune health or maintain a healthy mind and body, you need to be able to have the competent and reliable scientific information and evidence to back claims. But do we have the research and the evidence to support the claims?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Yeah, really good point. Perfect. And I do thank you everyone who's sending Q&A through. I invite everyone to send their questions to us, myself and the fellow panelists through the Q&A tab at the bottom or top of your screen. I will try to get through these. I'm also host, moderator, and also looking at the Q&A, so thanks for your patience with me. I think we'll move on as a follow-up. So we have people joining us from the dietary supplement world, but also many attendees from the hemp CBD industry. So a lot of people are looking for tips on how to market their health-giving products effectively. So what words or messaging can companies use to market their CBD products? So it's kind of an extension of what we were both talking about here. What's some examples?
Did you want me to answer that, Isa?
Whatever you like. Sure, let's popcorn it around. I like it.
So I was thinking of a few phrases, reduce stress and frustration, maybe say helps reduce occasional stress and tension, maintain a healthy body and mind. Obviously the no-nos are anything with depression or anything with anxiety, anything that, no mention of anxiety or of depression, right? But I would, reduce stress, reduce frustration, reduce tension. And I really like the maintain a healthy body and mind. And I think, Linda, you alluded to that earlier. You're allowed to say things like support and maintain already within normal ranges kind of thing. And so that, to me, it implies that your mind is already healthy.
Yeah, and I think
those are some of my thoughts.
We have a little handy dandy card that we use in our office that basically says just that. You can't say depression, but you can say supports a healthy mood. You can't reference obesity, but you can talk about weight loss. You can't say insomnia, but you can say, helps support a calm mind. So we're really focused on what can you say versus what can't you say, but we always are trying to come up with, if you're trying to say something about anxiety, what are the words that are appropriate to present your product in a truthful manner?
Yes, indeed. Yep. Healthy sleep, we balance state of mind, balance mood support, support a happy mood support, things like this. Or
seasonal sufferers, if you're talking about allergies. And in CBD in specifically, even with inflammation, which is a no-no, you can talk about, or pain, which is a no-no, you can talk about it as it relates to exercise or overexertion. So there are ways to message that. If you have the backup documentation to support it, you can find ways to message it.
Yeah, one of the fun things about doing these fireside chats or town halls is, we can get together and we're really covering lots of sides of the industry. We have Linda covering the compliant sales and marketing side. We've got Erica covering legal and regulatory. And then there's me. I'm kind of in the middle, so it's fun. Most of the panels I do, I'm the only non-attorney, so I get to even walk the line even more. So it's pretty fun. But we get to discuss operational viewpoints. We get to discuss venture capital viewpoints. And so, it's not all cut and dry. So a lot of this is interpretation of risk. A lot of times, I like to say I wouldn't have a job if I came into the CMO and CEO's office all the time and said, you can't do this, period. No, they would tell me to get lost. I come in and I say, here's what you shouldn't do. Here's the reason why. Here's the risk level on a scale of 1 to 10. And maybe here's some ways you can communicate that are, a little bit lower risk. I think we're all pretty aware that nothing is without risk, in particular in the CBD industry. We had a question come in from one of our wonderful friends in Boulder. I will not mention your name, but hello out there. Can we say supports optimal sleep?
I would say, so the risk there is with insomnia, right? So the way I've approved off on labels that are trying to make sleep claims, the lawyer always wants to say no, but I've learned in private practice, being in-house, that it's helpful to come up with an answer, or not just no, like come up with a solution. So I've offered up something like helps with occasional sleep issues, right? So you're not trying to say that it's to treat insomnia, which is disease. Does that answer the question?
I think that's great. Got another question came in, and it says, to date, has the FDA issued any warning letters solely grounded on the hashtag COVID-19 or was used in connection with any other social media post? I'll start off with that one. I believe that there are, as I mentioned earlier, I haven't read all the COVID warning letters, but I believe there are some out there that talk about immune support claims that were elevated in the risk level to the warning letter because of hashtags. But I can't cite a specific example. I don't know if anybody has a comment on that.
One of the ones that came out today did have a specific reference to hashtags. It was in immune. It wasn't in the CBD space. It was in immune.
Great. Thanks so much. So there's one here, and it's pretty long, so I'll do my best to paraphrase it here. So companies cannot make structure function claims on their own when marketing their products or any implication of such claims. Businesses have to rely on consumers importing their own knowledge on the potential benefits of CBD and gesture toward these benefits when marketing the products. While companies can't point consumers to reliable external information for fear of FDA enforcement, I wonder if there is a role for businesses to try to combat all the disinformation out there. So I think what I'm hearing this person saying, you could always clarify me and send another chat or Q&A to me if I got it wrong, is what do we do if we see people out there spreading misinformation about CBD and nutraceuticals? Should we report them? Erica, what do we do here if we see people making egregious claims?
Well, I mean, you can report them to the FDA, but in my history of having companies do that, they don't usually take action, right? They're going to say there's too much stuff on their plate to do it. But there are other avenues. If you're a competitor, for instance, you could file a lawsuit under the Lanham Act for false advertising. So if the companies were competitors, if you're just an individual trying to put an end to that, the Lanham Act wouldn't be a viable option for you. But there'd be a class action, especially in the state of California, CLRA. There'd be that option in any state if there's false information out there.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So, yeah, that's interesting. You know, for me, I see things out there that drive me bananas, people making really, really egregious claims. And what I usually do is I complain at the dinner table to my wife and daughter about it. I've never personally reported anybody, but really that's the goal of, it's interesting because that's really the goal of today's talk, and also these ongoing educational webinars and events that I like to host is let's all come together as a community to educate about compliance, what's okay and what's not okay, so we can all raise the tide together, and maybe hopefully that company who's making this hypothetical egregious claims, their friends or their colleagues will say, hey, you shouldn't do that. That's been my approach to this.
I'm with you, Asa. I think that it's just ignorance. And I think that it's people coming into this space that won't be here for very long. It's people that are trying to make a quick buck on, the CBD craze or, the medical marijuana craze or whatever it might be. I think that people that are legitimate and are in this for the real reason, which is to help people, are going to very quickly learn. They're going to have a good attorney like Erica. They're going to have friends in the industry. They're going to attend your sessions, and they're going to quickly learn what is allowed. I came from outside the industry. When I first started, I had no idea that you couldn't message supplements like you could pharmaceutical drugs. I didn't know about Duché. So that was my first learning right when I came in was, no, you can't say that. I remember arguing with you, Asa, over, I can't say a cold? What do you mean I can't say a cold? Like, that's just so common. And you're like, nope, a cold is considered a condition and you cannot say a cold. So I think it's just a matter of people educating themselves in this industry in general. And, as a company in the supplement industry who also plays in the CBD world, it is frustrating because you see all these new people coming in that don't know the rules. And you see that on labels, you see that in advertising, you see that in almost everything they do. And eventually they put themselves out of business.
Yeah, it's so true. And as as someone who reviews lots of labels, especially in a contract manufacturing basis, it helps, it makes me bolder and bolder every time I review a label that's like so far off. I got to keep the hair on my head, everybody. So let's all, start with compliant labels. Just a quick kind of aside. If you're making a CBD or any kind of product, don't write made in the USA on the product unless you could substantiate it. So made in the USA is the predominant amount of the ingredients, and the packaging has to come from the USA. So if you're importing your bottles from China, it's not made in the USA. Those type of cases usually settle, I believe, for about 40 grand. So best to avoid that. And to both of your points, anything on the label, you have to substantiate. If you say non-GMO, you want to substantiate it. Gluten-free, you want to substantiate it. Here's a fun one. Sorry for all the nutraceutical people that aren't interested in hemp, but I felt like this would be pertinent to the hemp CBD companies that are here today. THC-free. So THC-free, you should always avoid putting on your label, in my opinion. It's because the FDA doesn't have a definition of what THC-free is. 1 part per billion could be considered not THC-free. FDA has a definition for gluten-free. So I know that people, and I'm sure Erica, people ask you about this all the time. Why can't I say THC-free? And what's my risk level? I know we've seen a few class actions because people failed their drug test and such.
I mean, my advice is going to be to take it off. It's not worth the risk,
Sure.
But I give things in terms of risk. This is what I think is likely to happen. Something like that, class action is going to be your biggest problem, which is going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. So just take it off. Is it that important? That's always my advice, especially something like that. And to touch on the labels and the structure function claims, I actually have a lot of clients that come to me with a conventional food. No, they don't come to me with this, right? But with a conventional food product, and they want to make immune claims, right? About supports healthy immunity. And my answer obviously is no, you cannot make structure function claims on conventional food products, right? So you have some of these products that are, is it a supplement? Is it a drink? Like an energy drink or an energy shot? What size is it? What volume is it? So how do you identify it? Is it a dietary supplement or is it a conventional food? Because the rules for both are different. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I would think that would come up in the CBD products quite often too. If it's in a powder form, if it's in a pill form versus a gummy.
Or beverage. Mm-hmm.
Or beverage, yes.
Yeah, and so thank you. Those are great comments. So if someone is making a product that they are calling Balance, would that be considered a claim if they're just calling the name of their product Balance? Would they then need to put the FDA disclaimer on there? What would your thoughts be on that, either of you?
I would say yes. I've had that happen a lot where the client's name of the company and the name of the product to me is a claim. And they don't want that. They don't want to hear that, but I tell them to put the asterisk or dagger next to that. I mean, you're better off putting it on there than not having it on there.
Yeah, it's pretty, so you'd consider Balance pretty low risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. And with the, not to go too far down this chasm with CBD labeling, but, if you're making a nutritional product, so you're labeling a hemp-derived product, not as a supplement with nutrition facts, then I believe you're not even allowed to write the FDA disclaimer on there. And we're looking at the state-by-state fabric of these really wonky regulations where some states may say, well, you have to label it with a disclaimer, but nutrition facts. So it's crazy. So the longer the FDA waits to come up with a national clear policy on this, the longer we're going to have the state-to-state fabric of these crazy regulations come out that are probably not going to go away once we have federal, quote, legalization.
And candidly, more lawsuits, more worthless plaintiff class action lawsuits, right?
Yeah. Yep. So we've got one, so interesting, not to spend too much time on THC-free, but I had a question that came back. Thank you for this. What about if someone wrote THC-free and then defined what that is, contains no more than 5 parts per million THC? That seems, you're quantifying the amount of THC. My recommendation would not be to use the word free. I would use the word no THC, and then quantify the amount. I don't know what you think about that.
It sounds like it's mislabeled. I would say not to say it, or it contains less than 1 part per billion THC. That's truthful.
Oh my God, we're having so many fun questions. Keep them coming. Thank you so much. So another one is the Made in the USA claim on the bottle. Does everyone on the panel agree with the assessment that was provided? So do you both agree that if the bottle is not from the USA, but the contents of the product are from the USA, that you should not use a Made in the USA claim? To the anonymous attendee, I believe that's what you're asking.
I'm not sure I understand the question. So you're saying that if the product inside is all manufactured in the United States, but the bottle is from China, you couldn't say made in the USA? That's what you were saying, Asa.
That's what I'm saying. So what do you both think about that? Do you agree?
I don't have enough knowledge of the topic. It seems a little extreme to me, but I know that companies in other industries will say assembled in the USA when they brought in different parts from other countries. So I really don't know.
Yeah, I can't say for certain. I'd want to look at that. It's been a while since I've looked at that, but I'd be happy to look into that and post it.
Yeah, if only the contents are from the USA, could you write contents made in the USA?
But you had said that it shouldn't say made in USA if the bottle came from China.
Yeah.
Well, I know that we give where we're manufactured, and we're manufactured in the United States. Maybe that's the way to get around it for these companies, as long as they are manufacturing in the United States.
We've hit a hot button topic with Made in the USA. My Q&A tab is going crazy. And again, this is the first webinar I've done where I'm also host, moderator, and QA person. So thanks for your patience with me. I think we're having fun and covering a lot of content. So thanks for being patient with me here. I had a question that just came in. If raw materials are from other countries but manufactured in the USA, can you make a Made in the USA claim? The answer is no. You certainly can't. What you can do is packaged in the USA, formulated in the USA with domestic and international ingredients, but made in the USA claim would not be allowable. Let's see. So we got lots of fun stuff. Oh my God, made in the USA. We'll come back to that. So for any questions we didn't get to answer today, I'm getting hammered. I love it. It means that this is good content and valuable to everyone here. So if for anything we didn't get to today, we'll try to answer, or we'll schedule a follow-up webinar here too. So, I wanted to kind of jump off and talk a little bit about charitable donations. So highlighting charitable donations has been really commonplace, and the human race is coming together to support one another during this pandemic. It's very heartwarming. So I was curious what your thoughts are, or advice to companies who might want to highlight their good deeds during this pandemic.
Yeah, I have a client who is donating a first response product, for an immunity product, to all the first responders, to all of the men and women, I think, in the police force and in the hospitals and so on. And I follow him regularly on Facebook. It's NutriBio. And I think what he's doing is absolutely wonderful. And I think it's okay. And it's genuine, right? Because he's always posting about things that are going on at his company. And this isn't just like, oh, I'll just start posting some stuff that's going on in my company, me donating all of these products. And then he's also getting people posting on his page, like the people that have received these products. Thank you so much for these products. I really appreciate it. Right. So I think I think it's wonderful, and I think it's sincere. But then I know of another situation where this person's not on social media ever saying anything about their company, and they posted something that they had donated some stuff to a police officer. Now that doesn't feel so genuine to me when you never post anything about your company and you are in this time posting something about what you're doing. I guess it's just how it makes you feel, right? When you see the posts. One made me feel good, like, wow, this guy's doing a really wonderful thing for the world right now. And the other one I thought seemed self-serving.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that, I have a friend who owns, totally outside of our space, but owns Wahoo's Fish Tacos in California. He started it. And every day he's posting and they're donating food and they're keeping their employees employed, and they're bringing food out to first responders. And every day that he's posting, I get a smile because it's authentic and he's doing it out of the goodness of his heart to both support his own employees as well as support the people that are out facing this crisis. And I think, I look at, our own company, we're supporting like our local firefighters and we're bringing them products, and we would anyway. They're in our backyard. But we're also doing more focused giveaways to our customers too. So we've always done kind of promotions on Instagram where, like our product, tell people about it, mention us, and you can get entered in to win, this bundle when we launch a new product or whatever. And now we're doing it every week because we're seeing such engagement and people wanting the product, and we're running out of product so quickly that being able to have someone get it because we keep aside, some of this product has been helpful too. So it's not exactly the same as like donating it in a broad way. I think that NutriBio, way to go. I mean, that is awesome that they're doing that. And I love hearing about people like that and Wahoos that are really doing this to not to get the kudos, like, right. Will they get more people that buy their product later? Who knows, right. Maybe, but it's more just a company mission. So good for them.
And to that point, he's keeping his employees employed, right? Yeah. So he's keeping the economy going. And in his manufacturing facility, because I see the videos on Facebook, he's able to maintain social distancing. He's able to, I think he tests everybody to make sure they don't have a fever before they walk into his manufacturing facility. So, I mean, he's doing everything that he should be doing the right way. And it costs him money. He has to pay for those ingredients, and he has to pay his employees to blend them in the packages. I don't know where the packages come from. Could be China. I don't know if you can say made in the USA or not.
Thank you. Those are some really great comments. Yeah, it has to feel sincere. Doing good work for people is not a marketing strategy. It just makes us human. Mm-hmm. And so it's great to see all these companies doing this. I would also like to thank Josh for the FDA made in the FTC made in the USA origin claims website. I will post that to everyone here. So made in the USA claims. Thank you again, Josh, for that link here. Moving on to supporting claims, or continuing on with claims. Who determines whether the science used to support a claim about a product is deemed credible? And how is the veracity of the scientific publication, for instance? So I think people are asking what they need to make a claim. Perhaps it's what do they need to make a structure function claim, or at least a statement?
In terms of competent and reliable scientific evidence?
I believe so.
Well, I've done quite a bit of work in this space, both in defensive cases brought by the FDA and the FTC, and in Lanham Act cases. So I can certainly answer this one. There was a time where the FDA took the position that they wanted 2 randomized placebo controls on the actual product. They've since backed off on that from an 11th Circuit case from a couple of years ago. And so there's not a hard and fast rule as to what that is, right? They would prefer human studies of the product, of course, placebo, double blind, but I know companies that have relied on, rat studies, animal studies, publications, research. What I always advise my clients to do if they're coming out with a new product and they're making any structure function claims, to get a dossier together right then and there. Hire me and the science guy, have us put together the dossier. So if and when the FTC or the FDA comes in, or you get served with a lawsuit, you have that substantiation package there. And that was one of the issues that came up with one of these FDA defenses that we were working on, is we put together the dossier during the litigation, which the FDA was not very impressed with, right? They would like to have seen those studies done before, the product was launched, which is the right way to do it. So, it's not cut and dried as to what it is. If you have a double-blind placebo study or two on humans and you have enough participants, that's probably good enough. But most companies don't have the money to spend on that, so they're usually going in, pulling research together and putting it in a binder and having that as their dossier.
Yeah, it's a really good point. You can't just use somebody else's study. It has to be the same manufacturing process, same ingredients, same dosage form as well too.
Well, and different ingredients work synergistically differently together, and you can try to argue and have something there. Something is better than nothing, but a study on the actual product is your best proof.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And Linda, you at Quicksilver, you make some bioavailability and rapid uptake claims and statements. What are you using to back those up? I know you've done some clinical research.
Yeah, we actually have a triple quad in-house that we do studies off of. We also do third-party research. We also have done double-blind placebo or double-blind testing. We as part of our R&D process, so part of our MPD process, when we're looking at products that we are going to make any type of structure function claims on, we will include that in our process. So, but to Erica's point, there are times, like if we're writing a blog and we're not mentioning anything about products specifically, and we're talking about ingredients, we will reference other studies. When we're doing webinars that are specific to practitioners, we will reference other studies. So, if there's studies on NAD and the effects of, or how NAD performs, most of those studies will have been done on animals, not on humans. So we'll use those when we're speaking with practitioners and talking about products. So it sort of depends on the product, and also where you're messaging and how you're messaging for us. And again, it comes down to risk and what is your risk tolerance, and what are you putting out there? And where is it going to be seen? And I think now, to your point earlier, Asa, some of the messaging that's getting people in trouble isn't actually what they're saying in their ad, or it isn't actually what they're saying on their website. It's somewhere along the chain of all the different touch points, there was something said that shouldn't have been said or printed.
Yeah, wow, we're getting a lot of great questions. Thank you, Linda and Eric, for those great comments. I've got a question that just came in here. Is it okay to put the FDA statement in your marketing materials, but not on your label, since the disclaimer is in there? I'm going to go ahead and answer that. No, it should actually be on the label. Are we all in agreement on that one?
Well, I think it should be on the label and on the marketing piece if there's a claim on the marketing piece. I put it everywhere. Websites, labels, marketing piece, anywhere you make a claim, it has to be on there, and it absolutely has to be on the product itself. In bold, in a 116-point font, in a box.
Yeah, and you saw on the Facebook 15-second videos, even though we didn't really make claims that would be overt, we put it on there.
That's always my advice. Err on the side of putting it on there. Because to me, it's not so obnoxious to look at it that it doesn't take that much space on a label or on a website.
Good comments. Thank you. All right, now I think we'll try to approach this one, but I might actually pass on it myself, but I'm going to bring it up and we can all pass. What is the current state of the FDA's position prohibiting food, beverage, and supplement products containing CBD?
Do you want me to make a statement?
Sure. Yes, please.
No, you can't do it. I attended that AHPA panel that I'm sure you were on, with the lady from the FDA, and she said no, and so many people tried to submit questions and reword it differently, and I could tell she was getting frustrated, and the answer was still no. They're not allowed in. They're not allowed in an ingredient in a dietary supplement. It's not approved because it was in the approved drug. They're not allowed as a food additive in conventional foods. And then the question became, do you think that they're going to do the rulemaking and try to change that to allow CBD? And she seemed not positive. She seemed optimistic that the FDA was exploring that. I mean, that this happened right before this COVID-19 thing, though. But she also said I had heard 3 to 5 years, but it sounds like they want long-term safety studies on CBD before they will even consider it. So long-term to me is not 3 to 5 years.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's why we always have to have a legal representation in all these panels. It's a lot of fun. Thank you for that. And I would also like to point that AHPA, American Herbal Products Association, has guidance out there for hemp CBD manufacturers and marketers. Basically, to be blunt, it's don't be a dummy. It's follow the rules. Just because there's not any very clear rules on how to market and manufacture and market these products doesn't mean you shouldn't do anything. What's the next best regulatory body? Well, it's CFR 111 or 117, whichever you choose. So AHPA guidance is have a robust adverse event reporting system, manufacture under GMP regulations, test your product, make sure you're not going to make any claims, follow DSHEA. So in lieu of a very clear legal pathway, let's follow what we got, which is dietary supplements.
Yeah, we market our CBD exactly the same
Well,
way
and Asa,
all our products.
Uh-oh, did we lose Erica? Maybe a
Might-
plane's flying over there. Looks like your freeze frame. Yeah, so, and while we're waiting for Erica to jump back on, yeah, that's, you were saying that's how you market your CBD products.
Yeah, it's no different than any of our dietary supplements.
Perfect. All right. Well, we're getting close to running out of time here. We've got some we went through most of the questions, and if I didn't get to them, I'm pretty sorry. We're just still waiting for Erica to come back. Let's see what this person says. That's a pretty long question. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to it.
sorry, my internet went out, but it came back.
Hey, good. Yay. We can do. Happy to have you back here.
But I just wanted to add one quick thing. Obviously clients just don't want to hear no, but with respect to CBD, I would say from the warning letters I've looked at, they're all from companies making very strong drug disease claims. So I would tell people, if you want to sell CBD as a dietary supplement, just don't make any crazy claims, and the risk of anything happening is probably pretty low. So anyway, that was what I wanted to wrap up before my internet tanked.
Yay, all right, perfect. Well, we're kind of running out of time here, but one final question is, what are some of your favorite products and activities you've been doing to keep you and your family healthy during this pandemic? And please also tell the audience the preferred way to contact you.
Erica, do you want to go first in case you drop?
Sure. Well, I've been upping my vitamin C and vitamin E and vitamin D. I take a lot of dietary supplements on the regular anyway, multivitamins, fish oils. I've kind of kept that the same. I've added NutriBio's immune products to my regimen, and I have another friend who has a Stemogen product, and I've added that to my regimen as well, and forcing the kids to eat their eat their gummy vitamins. And the best way to contact me is my email, which is my name. It's Erica, ERICA, at Erica W. Stump, ERICAWSTUMP.com. And you can find that on my website. You can also give me a call. My office line is 954-828-2334. And if you send me an email, I'm happy to share my cell number with you as well.
Thank you.
For me, our usual products, but also some new exciting ones. We recently, actually today, launched vitamin C with elderberry. It's the first liposomal delivery of elderberry, I think, as far as I know. And so that's a new product that literally just went up today, and I've been using it for about the past month, and I love it. Also our NAD Gold, which is an NAD supplement, and we just launched methyl charge to go along with that. So my husband and I have been taking that. And then our ultravitamin, which definitely has a combination of A and D and K. And then I always extra supplement with D3, K2.